This is a 2007 Honda CR V all-wheel drive, 2.4 in it. Has a problem when you first apply the brake pedal. It goes 2/3 the way to the floor, sometimes more or less. And then when you reapply, it's got a full pedal, so I think the master cylinder is bad. It's bypassing inside. I'm going to be using some synthetic brake fluid. It could be used for .3 or 4. The specs on this is .3, but the cap says 3 or 4 could be used. This kit came with bleeder hoses because the master cylinder has to be bench bled. That means removing the air trapped in this cylinder. I've propped the reservoir up with the box the master cylinder came in, so it's kind of the highest point. I'm going to go ahead and hook these fittings up back in these holes in these outlet ports, and then work this plunger while the fluid goes up lines back into the reservoir. I'm going to go ahead and take this strainer out and put it someplace clean. I'll put it in that plastic bag when I get those pieces out of there mounted. I took a utility knife blade, a brand new one, and I cut about 3/16 off of these little pointy nipples on something perfectly clean. Check and make sure you got a hole passing all the way through those too. These ones plugs. This master cylinder bench bleed kit comes with 4 of these cone-shaped deals, or plastic. 2 of them will have holes in it and 2 of them won't. And they're a little skinny for the holes in this. I didn't want them getting back into the plunger, so I cut 3/16 of an inch off of these to kind of customize them to fit in those holes without them going too far back in and getting into something. Make sure they're clean and take some air and blow them off. Make sure there's no. I just rolled them with a razor blade. Just rolled them in a circle and trimmed them off a little bit. You may not have to, or you don't have to. It don't matter. I'll stick them inside of there. Snug them in there pretty good. I'm going to mount a rag underneath of this. And you should wear eye protection just in case those blow off if you push this plunger too fast. You're going to have an accident, because hydraulic fluid will be coming out of these up the lines back into the reservoir. I'm going to take this strainer out, put it inside this plastic bag. This comes with 2 plastic lines and a clip down in there to clip them on. Make sure those clear hoses stay fully submerged in the brake fluid. Now it's time to fill the reservoir full of brake fluid. Like I say, put eye protection on, put a rag underneath of these. Make sure there's no paint around where fluid could shoot out and hit it. And keep the dirt out of everything. And cap your brake fluid back up. It attracts moisture because it's super dry in nature, even though it's, let's give it a little tapping here and there. That'll help release residual air bubbles from the bottom. Okay, we're going to ease this down to a maximum of 1 inch. Release it. Slowly. See the brake fluid getting displaced. Make sure your hoses stay covered up. Fill this full of brake fluid. Make sure your hoses stay submerged in it. Taking plenty of it in there. Make sure these plugs stay in there tight and not suck air around them. I'll tell you what, there's a pocket of air here. I suppose it's not so critical as long as it covers these bores, but I think I'm going to rotate this on its side and get all the air out of that top of this reservoir. Just tilt it on its side and it'll fill it in. And that did it. And still a little more in it. It may get some more back in as I bleed it. It's time to fill the reservoir up some more. The goal of this is to do this till there's no more air bubbles flowing up these clear tubes. Just pump this slow and gradual. I went ahead and just turned the master cylinder about 20 degrees so that these fittings are facing up and all this is facing up. Got it mounted in a vise. It'll take a while. These micro fine bubbles just keep showing up. I'm gonna let it set for a few minutes, settle what's in the lines, and might be stirred up in the reservoir, sucking them back into. That's pretty good. I'm kind of pushing a little faster than I should be. Like I say, what's your eyeballs? I'll let it set a few minutes. Those are sealing up pretty good. Good to go. Got every bit of the air out of it. sure and check this shaft length. Make sure they're both the same. Look inside of them. I'm going to slip these clear plastic tubes out and then stick these pegs in one at a time to keep the air from getting in and fluid leaking out while I'm installing it. Make sure they're clean. Just pull that out and stick this back in the hole. I'm pulling the lines up out of the fluid first so they won't siphon or anything. Gotta watch the air starting to work its way back down into it. Pull them and change them here real quick. Drop your strainer back down in there. The white caps are plugging the holes so fluid don't leak out and air don't get in. So put the cap back on. I put a thin haze of grease on this shaft, real thin. And then the pin that goes inside of this has a little dab of silicone grease on the tip of it. Okay, clamps up here, down here. These are plugged off. Reservoir is full. There's no air trapped in this. I picked that whole apparatus up and worked the air up this tube and up into this reservoir. I want to keep this elevated too while I'm sticking it in there. This is slightly, not enough to stress any of these hoses out or anything, this hose or any parts out.